guys, so it's almost my birthday, and I wanted to share with you a birthday cake, wedding cake, in general, white cake recipe that I think will be really useful for all of your repertoire, so I hope you guys enjoy. So I started off by whipping the egg whites, and I have 5 egg whites, and to that I'm going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And the salt helps to stabilize the egg whites so that they whip up a little bit better. I started a little bit lower until the egg whites got foamy, and then I'm slowly adding in my sugar so that it'll dissolve nicely. And then I turn up my speed until I would say that the egg whites get to medium to stiff peak so that they can kind of hold their shape and form very much like this. And then afterwards, I was a little bit lazy. I should have done the egg whites second, but I didn't want to waste another bowl, so I put that in another bowl, cleaned off this bowl really easily, and then put in my 1 stick of butter and then 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and I'm just going to cream it. So once you kind of get it combined, you want to put it onto a pretty high speed until it gets nice and white and fluffy, and this is actually not that stage yet. So while that is whipping, I am going to take my that paper, that butter paper, and I always do it like this so that I don't have to find more butter and then rub it all over. I rub the pan first, and then I put a circular piece of parchment over that, and then I rub that so that everything is kind of nice and greased and will release from the pan. And you see how nice that creaming got. It was nice, light, and creamy. And make sure to scrape down the bowl because you don't want unincorporated pieces of like butter or sugar or flour to be in the cake, because once it bakes up, it looks a little bit weird and everything floats up to the top. So I have my dry mix here. It's 2 cups of cake flour and 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And then I am adding 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla to about 5/8 of a cup of milk. Weird amount, I know. So you're gonna slowly add that to the mixture, starting with dry, wet, and then ending with dry. So I'm not actually incorporating it too much because I'm waiting for that final incorporation for my last mix. So I've just added that milk and vanilla mixture, and it'll look weird and gloopy at first, but then that's not your concern. You're just going to make sure to scrape down again just to make sure that everything is like nice and mixed and not forgotten on the bottom of the bowl. And then finally add your final dry mix to it, and it is in this kind of session that you want to make sure that the cake and everything is nice and homogenized. Once again, for cakes, it's not okay to over mix it, but you do want everything to be homogenized, even if you have to finish it by hand once you're folding it, because once again, when it does bake up, everything that is not incorporated ends up floating to the top, so you get like weird bubbles and things once you've baked up the cake. So now back to my egg whites mixture. I'm folding in about 1/3 of the egg whites just to lighten up this mixture so that not everything deflates the whites, and then I'm adding in the rest of the whites in, and then I'm just folding that. And it's kind of hard because I know that I was saying to kind of make sure that everything's mixed, but with the egg whites, if you overdo it, you end up deflating all of those bubbles. So it's kind of a fine line. You want it to be a majority mix, like 95%. If you happen to see any whites, kind of, touch it around with your hands and make sure that everything is mixed. I'm just going to tap it down a little bit and then use a spatula just to flatten the whole cake. And then in about a 350 degree oven it goes, and it takes about 35 to 40 minutes, but you have to be sure to test it. So this is about 35 minutes, and I'm just going to be using a cake tester or a skewer, and then seeing if it comes out clean. And if it doesn't, you want to put it in for 2 or 3 minutes, but keep on kind of checking it and touching it. Make sure that it does spring back, and once again, bake with your senses and don't just go based on the suggested times. So I'm just going to rest it probably on a wire rack would be better so that it cools, and as it cools, you'll start seeing it kind of retract from the edges, and you can see that this cake actually doesn't puff up a lot in the center like a lot of the cakes. It stays fairly flat, which makes it really nice for layering. It could be a big birthday cake or a big wedding cake and whatnot. So I'm just kind of taking an offset spatula and going around the edges so that it is released. And I have no idea why I should have put a plate under that first instead of kind of flopping it onto this wire rack. Mistake on me. The parchment paper stayed on this one, so I got a little cake board, and I'm just gonna flip that back over. Sorry about that, cake. And you guys can see actually how nice it is. It's really thick as well, so if you want to make it a layer cake but you don't want to make another layer, you can just cut it horizontally in half. You can fill it with some jam or some buttercream, and it really is an amazing cake. And you can actually really see again how flat it looks. It is perfect for layering, and if you still want that really flat edge, definitely flip the cake over, but this is actually not bad at all. So there you guys have it, my all-purpose white cake that is really not too sweet in its original recipe, but that is the beauty of making your own white cake, is you can adjust the sweetness. If you like flavorings other than vanilla, you can add that too, and it's just the perfect thing to bring to, it's like a birthday party or a wedding, and you can really make a cake for any occasion with this recipe. So yeah, so as usual, if you guys like this recipe, please hit like and subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you guys again. Bye.